In the Jackson bribery scheme, WLBT reports DA Jody Owens is now saying that he was induced into participation. The TV station also reports Owens is accusing the feds of revenge for former Mayor Lumumba's fight to control the $800 million grant to fix the city's water problems. More news in 1 hour on 103.9 WIAB. I'm Chris Davis.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are the individual views and opinions of the people expressing them and do not necessarily reflect those of this radio station, its parent, affiliated, or related entities, agents, or employees. Come together right now.
Happy Thursday. Welcome in to the Lindsay Beckham Show, live here from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios, the WYAB studios, 103.9. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And if you are not watching me, then I sure hope you are watching the debate that is going down on the Mississippi House floor as we speak. Mississippi Education Freedom Act. My. Have some people got their panties in a wad because parents want to make the calls for their kids. Because some people believe parents know best. Because some people believe all children are different and they all learn differently in different learning environments. You know, it blows my mind that so many people that this would affect in a good way are fighting us tooth and nail. So, the House gavelled in this morning at 10 a.m. Celeste Hurst, Representative Celeste Hurst, she is the representative of, she's got part of Rankin County, she's got part of Madison County, she's got part of Scott County. She spoke on the bill, and what an amazing job she did. I'm just so proud of Celeste. This is her first term as a Mississippi representative, and she is doing a phenomenal job. Worked with her a few sessions ago on the SAFER Act, and she has just really been such a strong advocate for children and for education. She served on the Education Freedom Select Committee that the speaker put in place that has met at least 3 or 4 times. She also is a part of the House Education Committee. And this is something that is so important to her. She did an amazing job speaking on the floor at the well, followed by Jansen Owen. And I got to tell you, I can't say enough great things about Jansen. He has poured so much time, blood, sweat, and tears into education freedom and school choice. We are lucky to have him in Mississippi. He spoke, he explained different parts of the bill, and then, of course, the education chairman, Representative Rob Robertson, he also spoke. And then came, of course, all of the interrogation. That's where they're at right now. I don't believe it will happen quickly. I don't know if they will break for lunch and come back or if they will just go straight through, but I've seen some of these bills play out on that House floor 8 hours. The CRT bill was one that lasted a very long time. The DEI bill was one that lasted a very long time. But I'll tell you what, yesterday after the House committee meeting, my phone has been blowing up. So many people have questions. So many people want to understand what exactly this means. What will this mean for Mississippi? And then I started to get all the new misinformation, disinformation. All of a sudden now I'm hearing that schools will no longer have gifted programs. That's absolutely not true. School choice is unconstitutional. It goes against the Mississippi Constitution. That's untrue. And we're about to have someone who I think is incredibly smart as he walks in the door right now. He understands all the constitutional law, and he is going to help us understand why that is inaccurate. These untruths that school choice is unconstitutional, that is just not the case. And we have Russ Latino here with us now, who's going to help us break all of that down. 601-879-0002. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to ask him anything, he is much smarter than me. That's why I surround myself with smart people.
I don't know that I'm smarter than you, but I'm glad to be on with you. I'm sorry I'm a little late.
No, that's okay.
The debate on this bill is happening on the House floor right now. So
that's what I was just telling
kind of
him.
glued to that.
Yeah. So, Russ, what do you say to someone who says this is unconstitutional?
That they're wrong? So there is a section in our Constitution that prohibits direct expenditure of public funds to a private college or a private school. That's not what's happening in this bill. So a lot of people are confusing the language around what the bill does. You keep hearing people use the term voucher. A voucher,
they love to do that,
is a coupon to a specific place. It says the state will pay this specific place this amount of money. That's not what the bill has. The bill has what are called education savings accounts in them. This is money that is given to individual families that can be used for a vast assortment of educational expenses that are qualified educational expenses, including the ability for them to make decisions around things like tuition. So there is not a direct expenditure of state funds to a private school in the bill. The expenditure of funds are to education savings accounts owned by Mississippi families, Mississippi taxpayers, people with kids in the system, and they get to decide how that money is spent. So the reason that's important is that 80 years ago, the Mississippi Supreme Court took up a very similar type of case. The Mississippi legislature 80 years ago or so said, hey, we're going to fund textbooks for kids, but the way that we're going to do it is we're going to give families the money to be able to go out and buy textbooks. Well, that included textbooks purchased for the use in private schools. Somebody brought a constitutional challenge under Section 208 of the Mississippi Constitution, and they said essentially, well, this is a violation of Section 208 because it's state money, public dollars, being spent at a private school. The Supreme Court said, no, it's not. And the logic that they used was the same logic that I just laid out, which is, no, families are deciding how to spend that money. That same logic has been applied in almost every state that has a school choice program and similar constitutional provisions. Over and over and over and over again, courts have ruled across the country that these are not violations of those types of constitutional provisions because the money is going to the family and not directly to the school. And so I would just say that it's a canard, that it's being used as an excuse by people who don't want to actually have to debate the real issue. And the real issue is, like, are we going to trust parents or not?
Exactly. And of course, Moms for Liberty, that's what we stand for. We are all about parental right, parental involvement, especially where education is concerned. So this is something that means a great deal to us. And it's just time. It's time that we put parents back into the driver's seat. Government shouldn't be raising our children.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think fundamentally what conservatives used to believe, and what they should still believe in my mind, is that ultimately the family is the building block of society, and that the state doesn't know best. Parents know their kids better than any government bureaucrat will ever know their kids. Even if the government bureaucrat has good intentions, good expertise, all of that, they're not the one at the end of the day that gets to see their kid crying.
Right.
They're not the one at the end of the day that gets to see their kids celebrate. Right?
Yeah.
Parents are responsible for the outcome of their children. So we should be empowering parents to do that. I'll say this too on the constitutional question, then we can talk broader.
Well, actually, Russ, there's a 100-year-old Supreme Court case that says just that the child is not a mere creature of the state.
100%. 100%.
Like Pierce versus the Society of Sisters.
Yeah. And that's a very important Supreme Court precedent that has had impact on a lot of cases since then. So I would just say this, like, there are 3 existing programs under Mississippi law. Starting in 2012 through 2015, the legislature created 3 different programs where public money, and let's be clear, public money is your money.
Right.
It's taxpayer dollars, where public money can be used at private institutions for a public benefit. So there's the dyslexia scholarship, there's the special needs ESA, and there's a speech therapy scholarship. All three of those things were created by the legislature. All three of those things take public money and allow you to spend it at private institutions or vendors. And not a single time has any one of those three programs been challenged in court as being unconstitutional. So if those things are permissible, this is a larger scale, but it's the exact same logic behind it. And nobody,
well, haven't they had a problem with that?
Nobody's ever tried to challenge those things. And it's because they know darn well who is going to go into court and be like, you know what? We want to take a scholarship away from a child with special needs.
Right.
I mean, so at some level, realize that they are being very, very selective in the way that they're trying to apply these arguments. It's very, very political, and it's pretty specious when it comes to what is the actual constitutional law. There's no way there will be a lawsuit if this thing passes.
Oh, I'm sure.
There will be. There is no way in the world they win that lawsuit.
Well, what about Pell Grants? How are Pell Grants used, and how is that not unconstitutional if that's what they want to say?
Yeah, and so that would be a little different in that a Pell Grant is a federal entity or institution, but it's the same logic, right? So Pell Grants are public money that a student can use at a private college. Look, there are a whole bunch of people out there, including a lot of people that are fighting this bill on the left, that would tell you that the government should be responsible for paying back student loans that were spent at private colleges. Right? So nobody's saying the government should stop backing student loans that get spent at Oberlin College for underwater basket weaving. But apparently we have a real problem with the idea of Lindsay telling little Johnny, hey, your school's not working for you. I see the pain in your eyes every single night. I see that you're not progressing. Let's try something different. For some reason, we've got a real problem with that. And I would argue that it's that we want to have control over our kids, that we see kids as dollar signs, as not as individuals. And that is a fundamental problem.
You know, everyone that I hear speaking out against this is talking about the money and tax dollars and government. Nobody is speaking on what's actually best for these children. And when we put that as our main focus, it's clear that we need this legislation.
Yeah, and I think everybody, let me put it this way. There are a lot of people who are speaking out against this that don't fully understand the implication of the policy.
Right. Absolutely.
Including a lot of teachers that don't fully understand the implication of the policy.
They're so misinformed.
Well, you can understand why you look at something and you go, well, I'm part of this system and it feels like you're trying to disrupt it. And that's scary. And I get that. Like I'm sympathetic to that. But I think a lot of teachers end up in a situation where they are following what their principal tells them is wrong or right about a policy. And their principal is following what their superintendent is telling them about what is wrong or right about the policy. And those superintendents are following national teachers unions. They're following a very small cadre of superintendents in the state of Mississippi who were the same people that led Initiative 42, which was an attempt to get rid of your representation around education policy in the state of Mississippi. You'll remember Initiative 42 was designed to literally say that the legislature no longer had power over education policy. We were going to give it to a judge in Hinds County. The very same people that fought that fight, pushed that idea of destroying your representation around education policy, are the ones that are loudest and sort of driving the narrative around being against school choice. By the way, they're the same people that were opposed to the school funding formula that's put over $800 million of new money into the system. They're the same people that fought the third grade reading gate in 2013.
That now want to take credit for it.
Nancy Loom quite literally said that we were failing our kids, that we were setting them up for failure. And that was the reason that they pushed Initiative 42, is they were so upset about what the legislature had done in terms of education policy in 2013 and beyond. So it's really important to understand that, like, there are two sides of this fight, and there are good people on both sides, but the narrative that's being driven on the opposition side is being driven by national teachers unions that have done market testing of messages. It's being driven by groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center, by the ACLU.
That's right.
It's not being driven by people who fully grasp the potential implications and positive things that could happen from this type of policy.
We got to take a break, but that's what I was going to get into when we get back, is how are the ACLU and the Southern Poverty Law Center, who, by the way, has me labeled as on their hate map.
Yeah, you're a hate group, aren't you?
I'm a hate group. Look, I wear
by
that
yourself.
I wear that with a badge of pride and honor. I love being on the opposite end of the spectrum from the Southern Poverty Law Center. But I wanted to get into how these groups are involved, what is their role in all of this, and I wanted to get your thoughts on some of the questions I got yesterday from people after the bill passed out of committee. Some of the rumors that seem to be now swirling and circulating that are just insane. But we're going to get into all of that when we get back. Y'all stay with us. We'll be right back here on the Lindsay Beckham Show, WIAB 103.9. We'll be right back here on the Lindsay Beckham Show, WIAB 103.9.
WYAB.
Get ready, Louisiana! Johnny's Pizza House is turning up the heat with our sweet the swamp pizza. Packed with crawfish, shrimp, a taste of crack, andouille sausage, bell peppers, onions, jalapenos, and a blend of Cajun spices, all smothered in delicious mozzarella cheese. It's the perfect bite of the bayou and the perfect meal for any Cajun crave. Try our Cajun Flint or dive into a sweet the swamp pizza bowl. A taste of Louisiana flavor is waiting on you. Let's share a slice today at Johnny's Pizza House.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Pure Air Consultants offers services on your heating and cooling system. It's time to get your heating system serviced. We offer replacement, service, maintenance agreements. It's important because if you have a gas heating system, it can produce carbon monoxide. So you want to make sure you have your system serviced and cleaned to protect your family. You want to make sure your system is safe to run. You can find us on our website at mypureairconsultants.com, mypureairconsultants.com.
I'm here with John Ravenstein, and John, you sure seem to love what you do.
What's not to love?
Working with diamonds and gemstones?
Ever since I was a kid, growing up in Northeast Jackson, I dreamed of being a jeweler.
You knew that early on what you wanted to be in life?
I would ride my bike every day after school, all the way down to my parents' store on Capitol Street to clean the jewelry cases, just to see every diamond I could. It was amazing.
Like a kid in a candy store, huh?
And right then I knew it was either that or a rock star.
I didn't know you could sing.
You know, I can't. That's why I'm a jeweler.
I don't know, John. If you think about it, you got thousands of fans.
Yeah.
And women who adore you.
Okay.
You're a rock star.
I guess you're right. And these are my Rolling Stones.
Juniker Jewelry, Mississippi's direct diamond importer. From anywhere in Mississippi, we're at 1485 Highland Colony Parkway, just south of 463 in Madison, and junikerjewelry.com.
When you feel like your business is drowning in paperwork and compliance issues, it's time to call Peoplease. Let Peoplease take care of the busy work so that you can save valuable time and focus on what really matters, growing your business. Peoplease is based in Ridgeland, so you're always dealing with local professionals who will actually understand your business and its needs. Join thousands of satisfied clients who trust Peoplease to simplify their employee administration. Visit peoplease.com. That's peoplease.com to learn more.
This copy machine has me so frustrated. I could just body slam it.
Whoa there, leave the body slamming to the pros and leave superior high-quality office tech to the experts at Advantage Business Systems, brother.
Woo! Get it!
Never body slam your copy machine again. Visit absms.com. Advantage Business Systems, laying the smackdown on bad tech.
Hi, folks. Kim Wade here. Mississippi Energy Services provides generators. That's right. You may not need it now, but when you need backup power, you need a backup power generator from Mississippi Energy Services. Never again have to worry about being without heat, air conditioning, or all your frozen items spoiling because your energy was lost. You got backup power now, and it's so reliable. You'll be pleased with Mississippi Energy Services. Online at msenergy.us.
Come together.
Welcome back into the Lindsay Beckham Show. We are live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. I am joined by Russ Latino, my friend and yours. He's been a guest on WIB several times, and he is all knowing on things Constitution, law, and Jewish people. And Israel. He's my go-to
What you're
source on
saying
those
is I've
things.
got a lot of opinions.
Yeah, yes, and a lot of opinions that I respect and think are good opinions. Now, you made a post yesterday that ruffled a few feathers. You brought in the segregation point that some people are saying is going along with the school choice legislation. Tell us how you feel about that.
Well, let me tell you why I brought it up first. So I run Magnolia Tribune. I've been very outspoken in favor of school choice, obviously. Our news team, I literally do not talk to them about it. I let them report on it the way that they're going to report on it.
That's
But
one good Magnolia Tribune really does do
really
that. Y'all are fair on both sides.
We try to do straight news. The opinion section is conservative. I don't hide from that. That's who we are. But anyway, so we had a post on Magnolia Tribune's social media yesterday. I can't even remember what it was. It was some sort of development. I don't know if it was Tate coming out and saying that he would endorse the bill or whatever it was. And one of the comments was like, well, this is an attempt to bring back 1960 segregation. And that same argument has been made on the House floor this morning as they debate the bill, that this is an attempt to go back to segregation academies of the 1960s, which is obviously a blight on Mississippi's history. By the same token, you have some people on the far right that are making an argument that this bill will increase integration, that there will be more black kids in white schools. And
don't cross that river and come into my school.
And there's an element of that on the far right from some folks that I think are kind of fringe, but it's kind of like and we saw it in Madison County last year, right? They handed out cards.
That's right.
That said that if we allow for kids to transfer between districts, we're going to affect the culture of our community and the property values of our community.
I wonder what they meant by that, Russ.
Well, and look, I'm not going to speculate other than to say that it's the same language that was used in the 60s around segregation and forced integration, right? So you got these two extremes where one side is saying, oh, this is going to lead to more segregation. Another side that's saying this is going to lead to integration. Both things can't be true at once. The reality is the way that the bill is set up is that there's so many different component pieces that should provide greater equality and greater opportunity for kids that otherwise would never have a chance. Right. And so the ESA that we talked about earlier, the way that that's set up is that half of those slots are only dedicated to public school students, current public school students. The others are available for everybody. And for both pools, it is low-income students that get first preference, right?
It's phased in.
So you start with the low-income students and then you work up. And so you look at that and you go, well, this doesn't seem like something designed to be elitist. Right. This seems like something designed to make sure that the kids who currently have the least opportunity don't get stuck in situations where it's not working for them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's noble. That's the opposite of something that looks like segregation.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
The flip side of that is this argument about like mass exodus on public to public school transfers. We already have public to public transfers in Mississippi. Mm-hmm. The only difference is we're literally saying a school that the kid wants to leave can't be the deciding factor. The school the kid wants to go to still has to decide whether or not they have space for that kid.
And that's not going to change.
And by the way, lots of states do it that way. And what you see is not mass exoduses of kids because parents still have to be engaged enough to get them in the car and drive them, right? These are not riffraff. These are kids with families that recognize I need to do something better for my kid to the point that I'm willing to make sacrifices, provide transportation, go further, all that stuff. And what you see in other states is that it's not tens of thousands of kids.
No.
It could be hundreds of kids across a system with 440,000 in it that decide we're willing to make this commitment to be in a better situation. And so both sets of fears are incredibly irrational, and both sets of fears actually cut against each other because you can't have a bill that is segregationist and integrationist at the same time. I think what they've done is to design smartly, and there's room for improvement, but to design smartly a bill that recognizes not color and not dollar signs, but that every kid is an individual with individual needs. And candidly, that's why we invest in education to begin with. How do we prepare kids for life?
Completely agree. Let's see. We got a caller. Hey there, you're on the air.
Hey, on the school choice thing, I think they're trying to equate race because the black leadership has realized that they destroyed inner city schools, and I really think that's their out and out, their scapegoat, is what I believe. And you're hearing this from a man of color. Now, do you remember when they tried to they were talking about the Jackson School takeover?
Mm-hmm.
They fought tooth and nail, and that probably wouldn't have been the best thing for it. And there were some parents on TV saying, "Well, let's just see. You know, you've been doing it your way for so long. Let's try and take over." You know. So I think they're just saying that as more fear mongering and things like that, and to make up for the fact that they failed.
I think there's an element of this that is, and this is not uniquely black versus white. There's an element of this that's really about control, because if you look at the polling on this, actually, it may not be that the people who support this are the loudest, but the polling numbers are overwhelming, both in black and white communities, that believe that families should have more control over where their kids go to school. And so I think that this is not a black-white issue. I think people are trying to make it that to make us angry at each other. But
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Derek. Great call.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then when you realize that there are groups like the ACLU and the Southern Poverty Law Center that are tied into this as well. They are funding the non-union unions, I guess, of Mississippi, the professional Mississippi what's the name of that group? Professional Educators League, and the Parents Campaign, which, by the way, is the most anti-parent group I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's the most Orwellian name for an organization
Right.
ever, because their chief objective is to fight parents, to fight parents from having choice at this point. I think they would say that they were originally founded around like school funding, but their chief objective at this point really is to fight parents from having choice. So you've got the Parents Campaign that has been against the 2013 reforms that are credited with the gains that we've had, that were trying to take away your control or your representation in the legislature through Initiative 42 in 2015, that fought the new school funding formula, which has delivered more money for more kids across the state of Mississippi. And they're being funded by the Southern Poverty Law Center. This is public information. The Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a far left progressive organization, has put $330,000 or pledged $330,000 for the next 3 years, starting last year, to fund the activity of the Parents Campaign in Mississippi.
Why do you think they care? Why do they care about what's happening here in Mississippi?
Because the far left sees the education establishment as their piggy bank. And so, and look, I want to be very clear. I don't think that most superintendents in Mississippi see it that way. I don't think most teachers in Mississippi see it that way. I will say that both AFT, which is one of the largest national teachers unions, and NEA, which is the largest national teachers union.
It's Weingarten.
Yeah,
right?
so AFT is Weingarten and NEA is Becky Pringle. But both of those have chapters in Mississippi for teachers. People always say, well, we don't have teachers unions in Mississippi. Yes, we do.
Right.
So that exists. They look at the system as the way that they fund their politics and not the other way around. And so if you were to look at AFT and NEA's political spending, you would see hundreds of millions of dollars in political spending, almost exclusively on Democratic candidates and very progressive causes, DEI, transgender policy, gun control, Gaza, you name it.
It's about control,
if
basically.
If it's on the left, that's what they support. AFT for the last several congressional cycles have supported Democratic candidates at a 99% rate. So if you're a teacher paying teachers union dues, even if you're conservative, the end result is you're funding really progressive politics. And so what they can't afford is for there to be less students in the K-12 system, because more students in the K-12 system means more money for them, and more money for them means the ability to control politics and move us further and further left as a country. And so I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that's the motive of teachers in Mississippi.
No. I'm
saying that the system is set up in a way where groups like Southern Poverty Law Center or the ACLU that's engaged now on this policy have a vested interest in making sure the status quo remains, not because they care about your kids,
right,
but they care about the dollars that your kids represent and their ability to use those dollars for progressive causes.
That's what we mean when we say they care more about funding systems, not students. We got to take a break, but y'all stay with us. We have so much more to discuss. This time goes by so fast when the conversation is this good. We'll be right back here on the Lindsay Beckham Show.
Keep it tuned here to 103.9 WYAB.
Get ready, Louisiana! Johnny's Pizza House is turning up the heat with our sweep the swamp pizza. Packed with crawfish, shrimp, a taste of crack, andouille sausage, bell peppers, onions, jalapenos, and a blend of Cajun spices, all smothered in delicious mozzarella cheese. It's the perfect bite of the bayou and the perfect meal for any Cajun crave. Try our Cajun flip or dive into a sweep the swamp pizza bowl. A taste of Louisiana flavor is waiting on you. Let's share a slice today at Johnny's Pizza House.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Pure Air Consultants offers services on your heating and cooling system. It's time to get your heating system serviced. We offer replacement, service, maintenance agreements. It's important because if you have a gas heating system, it can produce carbon monoxide. So you want to make sure you have your system serviced and cleaned to protect your family. You want to make sure your system is safe to run. You can find us at our website at mypureairconsultants.com, mypureairconsultants.com.
Hey guys, this is Casey Ellis with Ellis Autoplex, located on Highway 471 in Brandon. Ellis Autoplex, known as Little Truck City, is your old school mom and pop style dealership that's family owned and operated. We specialize in 4-wheel drive trucks, but don't worry, we have cars and SUVs too. Looking to sell your vehicle? Bring it by Ellis Autoplex, where we pay fair market value and we cut you a check on the spot. Need your vehicle service or repaired? We can handle that too. Shop us online or set your appointment at ellisautoplex.com. That's ellisautoplex.com.
Grizz Nation, your Memphis Grizzlies return to FedEx Forum for Mentoring Night, presented by Ford and your Mid-South Ford dealers on Wednesday, January 21st. Arrive early to see your Grizzlies host the Atlanta Hawks at 7 p.m. with the first 5,000 fans getting a Grizzlies Mentor t-shirt. Grab your tickets today at grizzlies.com/tickets or at the FedEx Forum box office.
When it's time to get serious about work-ready equipment, come see me, Noah Sullivan, at H&H Chief Sales in Carthage. From rugged Big Tex trailers to durable CM and Legend X truck beds, H&H has what your truck needs to work harder and last longer. For the field, H&H carries reliable ag equipment from Salford, New Leader, and Chandler. Visit H&H Chief Sales in Carthage today or anytime at hhchiefsales.com. H&H, quality equipment, knowledgeable service, and solutions that work as hard as you do.
Health has always been reactive, focused on fixing problems as they happen. But with Blue Primary Care, we're taking a proactive approach, working with you to help you understand your health and empowering you to be healthy. It's time to prioritize you, your health, and your life. The results? Less worrying and more living. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue.
I am Wayne Lloyd, Delta Farm Services, LLC. We do all types of dirt work, excavation, dozer work, land leveling. We do building pads, commercial ponds and lakes, residential ponds and lakes, anything with dirt work. Delta Farm Services, LLC.
Google Delta Farm Services, LLC, or find them on Facebook. Delta Farm Services, LLC.
Come together.
And we are back on the Lindsay Beckham Show. We are joined by Russ Latino. Russ, did you go to public school or private school?
I went to public school.
Your kids are in public school?
From kindergarten through graduation. My kids are both in public school. My wife went to public school. I've got 3 members of my family that are public school teachers in Mississippi. I'm not against public schools. I think sometimes it gets reduced down to, oh, that means you don't like public schools. No, I think they're great public schools and they're great public school teachers and they're doing phenomenal jobs in some places. Some places they're not. And even in some places that they're doing great jobs, it may just not be the right setting for an individual kid, right? Like, let's say a kid is getting bullied in class, or a class size is too big for that kid because they've got attention problems, or, there could be any number of things that make that situation unique for that individual
Or
child.
they don't offer something that that child is really interested in.
So yeah, and so I think oftentimes people who are against this reduce it down to like, okay, well, most people like public education, so we're going to try to turn this into people who like public education versus people who don't. The great irony is that a lot of those leading advocates against school choice either went to private schools themselves
Yeah.
or sent their kids to private schools because they had the money to be able to do that. And that is an admission that public schools are not always the best option, or the public school where you happen to live is not always the best option. I've said this several times. Like, Lindsay, if you think about this, like, what is the goal of public investment in education? Very simply, the goal is to take a kid and make sure that kid is prepared to live a fruitful and successful life once they get out of the school system. Parents have a huge role in that. They bear the ultimate responsibility for that, which is why they should have this power. Okay, so we've accepted what the goal is. Unless you believe that 100% of the time, for every kid, the school where they happen to live closest to is the best option, I don't see how you morally can be against school choice. And no one with a straight face could tell me 100% of the time for every kid, it just so happens where your parents happen to live, that is the very best school for you.
Right.
If you said that, I would know you were full of crap.
Exactly.
So once you admit that, the question just becomes then, okay, can we design a system to cater to as many kids as possible to give them that opportunity to be successful? And we do this in all sorts of areas. Like, take Medicaid as an example, right? We've talked about Medicaid on this program before. Lots of people in Mississippi use Medicaid. You don't go to a government healthcare provider. You take those Medicaid funds and you go to a private hospital or you go to a private doctor.
You have choices.
You have choices to use those resources. So that is public money, taxpayer dollars, spent at a private vendor for the public good. Roads and bridges. Mississippi doesn't get out and build its own roads and bridges.
No.
We hire contractors who are very good at that. We use public money with a private vendor for a public good. There is no rational basis to say in the realm of education, if a private vendor can do a better job, that we should waste money on someone who is doing a worse job.
Exactly. And we know the free market works.
It defies all reason. Here's the other thing that I'd say is, like, we talk a lot about why Mississippi's education system has improved, and it has. It's not just the third grade reading gate. It's not just the emphasis on phonics. In 2013 and 2012, we started to introduce school choice programs. They're small, but we started to introduce school choice programs. We created the threat of competition. And I think a lot of public school administrators looked around and said, hey, they're getting serious about this thing.
Better be on our
We've
best.
got to up our game.
Yeah.
By the way, we found that nationally. All these states that have implemented school choice, there are plenty of data and studies on this.
The sky has not fallen in any of them.
The public school systems have actually gotten better as these programs have been implemented because competition makes you be better. Think about it in a very simple context, and I'll be quiet. If all you have in town is a single restaurant, that restaurant has a captive audience, and it has no incentive to improve the menu, the service, any of that. You put two restaurants right next to each other, and suddenly that incentive is very real because you are competing for customers. That same principle applies no matter what you're talking about. It applies in education. We've seen that. One other quick thought, because there are people who will say, well, look at all this improvement that we've seen. Why would we want to do something else?
I've seen that so many times.
I think it's important to recognize how great it's been that we've shot up the ranks.
But why stop there?
I think it's also important to recognize that shooting up the ranks means that in fourth grade, according to the NAEP, 62% of Mississippi kids are still not proficient in reading. I don't know about you, but I think 38% proficiency is better than 24% proficiency, but still not something to quit on.
Still not something to brag about.
If 62% of the kids still can't read,
we have a problem.
That's a problem. So we got to stop judging ourselves against other people. We got to figure out what is in the best interest of Mississippians and Mississippi kids. And part of that is making sure that families have options.
Absolutely. And I want to say this too, because Tate really has taken some heat over a post that he put out the other day talking about policy helping make these gains in education in the state. And teachers were very offended by that. I've seen a lot of teachers who were just really upset with him about that. But, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the teachers. Absolutely, they're the ones in the classroom teaching the children, and they have done a phenomenal job. We have made these huge gains. But the legislation and the policy does have something to do with it. It just does.
Well, and here's what I would say. I mean, one, like, people throw fits about stuff like that in a way that is off-putting to me because it's hysterical. Look, teachers clearly had a role in the gains that we've experienced. Families had a role in the gains that we've experienced. Like, parents and kids have risen up to the expectations, higher expectations that have been set. Who set those higher expectations? It was policymakers, right? It was MDE at some level, but it was policymakers who set a broader vision for what we were going to try and accomplish. And then, to their credit, teachers went out and executed it. But here's what I would say to somebody who says, well, the policymakers don't deserve any credit. Why didn't we have any of these gains before 2013? If it's only the effort that is going on in the classroom.
Did the teachers not care back then? Yeah.
If there's no top-down policy making that had an impact on that, why did it miraculously start in 2013? Well, it started because there was a change in vision and policy.
That's right.
So get mad if you want. But between 2003 and 2013, we didn't have those gains. Between 1993 and 2003, we didn't have those gains. It was only after a change in vision that we saw those gains. Teachers had to execute. They deserve credit for that. But it is ridiculous to be like, oh, the state lawmakers didn't do anything. Yes, they did.
Absolutely. Is there anything in this bill that will remove gifted programs from schools? Because that's one thing that I started to hear circulating yesterday.
I've seen some of that chatter. I'm not aware of anything that would change the way that gifted programs are funded. The funding formula that was put into place a couple of years ago addresses the way that gifted programs are funded. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have an encyclopedic memory of every line of the bill, but I've not seen anything in the bill that would suggest a change in the way that those programs are funded.
If a family has a child in private school right now, should they be concerned or worried that their child will be thrown out of the private school and have to go to a public school now that we have these school choice measures, if it's passed?
No, that's goofy. I mean, it's just goofy. Private schools are going to have to decide how many seats they've got. What I will tell you is that right now, MAIS, which is the large association that most of the private schools in the state are accredited through, they've got more empty seats in private schools across Mississippi than they do have full seats. Their number is about 50,000 empty seats right now.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
So if people are worried, they're like, okay, well, you're creating the scholarship, but is there anywhere for kids to go? The answer to that question is yes, that there are places for kids to go already in place. Remember, the first year of this bill is just 12,500 kids, half of which are existing public school kids. So you're not talking about a huge number relative to 50,000 existing seats. The other thing that I'd say is, like, people are worried about the accountability between public school systems and private school systems. And do I have a second to soapbox? How long do I have to soapbox?
You have 4 minutes.
I won't take that long. So let me say this first about the accountability system in Mississippi. Accountability implies consequence. So we have a system where schools are given a letter grade. If my son comes home with an F in school, he no longer gets to play on his iPad or his
Rounded.
Switch. There is a consequence. There's very little consequence in the existing public school system if they're failing.
Because those kids have to go to that school.
And technically, there's takeover rights for the state. It takes years and years to do. It typically doesn't result in any real changes. So this notion that there's an existing accountability system in public schools is a bit of a misnomer to begin with. The bill actually reduces the amount of state testing.
I love that part of it as well.
I think it's 10 state tests that are rolled off by virtue of this bill, something that people aren't talking about.
They would only be in high school
in
now.
high school.
They take away all of those.
And I think long-term, the goal is to make the ACT, SAT,
the only.
those be the test, right? That's the standard. So set aside the accountability system in public schools. What they're saying is we're not going to make private schools do the exact same thing as public schools. And some people have a problem with that. And my argument is, if your goal is to create choice, why would you want them to look exactly like public schools?
Exactly. Then you have no choice.
You want them to be able to do things differently. That is the whole point of creating an alternate or innovative model where kids can pick between the way approaches are being done. I'd also say this, that in MAIS, they have a 3-point better ACT score than the public system right now.
They're doing something right.
So if you're worried about, well, what is the quality of private education? It varies. There are good private schools, bad private schools, just like anywhere else. But if you take it across the board, their ACT scores are 3 points better than the ACT scores in public school. Now, 3 points may not sound a lot, but if you have a test that's a 36-point test, 3 points is
a lot.
10%, close to 10%.
Yeah.
And so I would look at it and say, based on that, it seems like they know what they're doing.
Homeschoolers, should they be concerned that the government is now going to be all up in their business?
Well, it's going to be up to the homeschool families whether or not they want to participate in the program.
So they'll have choice.
They have choice. I think, look, anybody with limited government or libertarian tendencies would look at some of this stuff and say, okay, are we creating new strings? I think the bill is designed in a way not to create those strings. Am I telling you that it could never happen? No, but I'm also telling you that right now the legislature could be like, we're not going to allow homeschooling anymore.
That's right.
If they wanted to. So the key there is for citizens to remain active. But for a lot of homeschool families that elect to participate in the program, it's going to be additional resources to make sure that you got the right education curriculum, all of that for your kids. It's going to be a good thing.
And some funding to help you purchase
that's what I'm saying.
Educational material. And you can always opt out. There is always an opt out.
You can choose not to do it, right? Just like you can choose not to transfer between public schools, or you can choose not to go to a private school. I mean, I had a guy on social media a couple days ago who was like, don't screw up my good public school. And the answer is, like, I'm not trying to screw up anybody's public school. This bill won't do anything to screw up a good public school.
Because those policies that school has in place are still going to be there, even if you have some transfer students.
And so my thing is this, is like, if you're good, kids are not going to leave.
Right.
If you're doing things that well, kids are not going to leave. Somebody asked on the floor today, what happens if all the kids leave a school? One, functionally can't happen because of the way the bill is designed. Functionally can't happen because of capacity to move to other schools. But if every kid in a school decided this school sucks,
then shouldn't we be looking at that school?
The school is the problem, not the kids.
Exactly.
So that would be a great market signal that we have set up a system. If every kid said, I don't want a part of this anymore, that school probably shouldn't exist.
It probably should be shut down. We got to take our last break, but y'all stay with us. We'll have some final thoughts when we get back right here on The Lindsay Beckham Show. Final thoughts when we get back right here on The Lindsay Beckham Show.
Keep it tuned here to 103.9 WYAB.
If you ever been stuck on the side of the road with engine trouble or because of an accident, you know how frustrating that can be. I'm Chad Stevens of Chad Stevens Record Service. We'll help take some of the stress out of this stressful situation. We've been rated by AAA as one of the top 10 towing services in the entire USA. Why? Well, just ask our customers. So keep our number in your cell phones and call us if you need us. 662-755-8645. That's Chad Stevens Record Service. 662-755-8645.
Looking for the sweetest spot in Mississippi? Well, bring the whole family to Mississippi Candy Company. From gummies and nostalgic candies to rich chocolate and creamy Hershey's ice cream, there's a treat for everyone at Mississippi Candy Company. Enjoy freshly made, flavor-packed popcorn, even tasty lunch specials featuring their signature smash burger. Folks, they're to die for. Grandparents, bring your grandkids in today to Mississippi Candy Company, where every visit is a delight. Located 102 D's Drive, Gluckstadt, and also find them on Facebook.
Hi,
Hi, this is Casey Seymour from Hometown Hardware in Flora. Hunting season is here, and Hometown Hardware in Flora is your local hunting headquarters. Whether you're setting up a new spot or restocking for the season, we've got you covered. We have ground blinds, shooting houses, feeders, food plot mixes, attractants, and much more. We have everything you need for a successful season and the hometown service you can always trust at Hometown Hardware, located at 1085 Highway 49 in Flora, Mississippi.
Malone is a company in motion, striving daily to improve the way the roofing industry operates and is perceived. A leader in commercial and residential roofing, metal walls, and maintenance. Malone means the highest quality materials delivered with expertise workmanship from McLean or construction. At Malone, you found your roofing and metal walls partner. Malone has proven for generations there is nothing we can't accomplish. Protecting people and what matters to you. More info at ecmalone.com.
When it comes to protecting what matters most, experience counts. And the Rusty Healy Agency has been serving Madison and the rest of the Jackson Metro for over 35 years. Local agent Landon Thompson is keeping that trusted tradition going strong. As a local independent agent, he's not locked into one provider. The Rusty Healy Agency can shop the top insurance companies to find the best fit for you. And everyone knows that the Rusty Healy Agency and Landon Thompson offer top quality local customer service. Contact Landon today at 601-856-3681.
A new year means a new you with a new ride from Mazda of Jackson with our extended super sale. Chart your new course in a 2025 CX-5 before they're gone. Price to move with 0.9% financing for 72 months with approved credit. And see why it's the compact crossover that's built for you. Plus, get 1 year maintenance included on your new vehicle purchase. It's time to make the resolution to choose Mazda today. Shop online at MazdaJackson.com or visit Mazda Jackson on I-55 Frontage Road.
Ladies, tired of running on empty, sleepless nights, mood swings, stubborn weight, skin that has lost its glow? It is not just getting older. It is your body begging for help. Hey, y'all, I'm Morgan at Women's Wellness in Mississippi. At Women's Wellness in Mississippi, we bring it all together. Hormone therapy, medical weight loss, and the latest, greatest aesthetic treatments like facials, lasers, Botox, and so much more. This is where wellness and beauty meet so that you can feel amazing inside and out. At Women's Wellness in Mississippi, the best version of you is waiting right around the corner.
Hey, this is Travis with Rapid Oil Change, the leader in fast service and fleet account maintenance for over 40 years, providing routine maintenance for most makes and models, keeping downtime to a minimum. We've set most local and national fleet accounts. Can't see at night? Headlights faded? Check out our newest service, the Bright Line Headlight Restore Kit by Mighty Automotive, available now. Keep your vehicle ready for the road ahead and drive hard with Casserole Edge. Open 6 days a week with 6 locations to serve. Visit us online for specials at oilchangems.com.
All right, we are back here on the Lindsay Beckham Show with Russ Latino. We got just about a minute left. Russ, what do you want to say to people about school choice? What do you want to tell them?
If you are a conservative, it is time for you to decide whether you're on President Trump's side, Governor Reeves' side, the governors of all of the surrounding states, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Texas, all conservative Republican governors, the side of 70% of Mississippians, the side of families, giving them choice and power over their own kids' lives, or if you're on the side of the Southern Poverty Law Center and ACLU. And I think it's really that simple. Here are very clear lines of delineation over who gets to control what happens with your children. Is it you, or do you believe that the state owns your children? I would say it's you.
It is. It is absolutely the fundamental right of the parent to raise their children as they see fit. And I believe that is in all aspects: education, religion, healthcare. Trust the parents. Trust your parents. This bill is still being debated on the floor, but as always, I will keep you guys updated as I know more. I'm sure I will go live at some point later today. Let's get this done. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on the Lindsay Beckham Show. Bye.